at you, so out of shape. Your stomach is so big. Are you the only woman who has ever given birth? His words cut deep. Amina stared at him, tears welling up in her eyes. It was a bright and sunny morning in the city of Kaduna. The air felt fresh, but the sky held a hint of mischief as thick clouds began gathering, warning of an impending downpour. The streets buzzed with activity as people moved about, but the atmosphere grew tense as the wind started to pick up speed, rustling trees and scattering leaves. It seemed like the rain would descend heavily at any moment. At the roadside, there was chaos as people hurried to board the buses. Men and women jostled for space, dragging and shoving to secure seats and avoid getting caught in the rain. Among them was Amina, a tall and strikingly beautiful young woman with smooth caramel skin and graceful movements. Her almond-shaped eyes darted around as she tried to find space on one of the buses. As Amina pushed forward, clutching her handbag tightly, disaster struck. The bag slipped from her shoulder and its contents spilled onto the dusty roadside. Her makeup, small mirror, and other personal items scattered in all directions. She knelt quickly, her fingers trembling as she tried to gather everything. In her haste, the bus she had been trying to catch drove off, leaving her behind. Frustration welled up inside her as she continued picking up her belongings. The wind tugging at her headscarf. The clouds overhead darkened ominously. Cold gusts of wind whipped through the streets. The rain began to fall, slow at first, then in heavier, relentless drops. Amina looked around desperately for shelter, her heart pounding. She was already drenched when a sleek black car pulled up in front of her. The tinted window slid down, revealing a young man with an easy smile and warm, inviting eyes. "Come on, hop in. Let me drop you off," he said, his tone kind and reassuring. Amina hesitated for a moment, glancing at the rain pouring down. She had no other option and nodded, stepping into the car with a whisper, "Thank you." Inside the car was warm and smelled faintly of cologne. The man introduced himself with a gentle smile. "I'm Bello. Nice to meet you." Amina, though still flustered, managed a soft smile. "Nice to meet you too. I am Amina." They drove through the rain-drenched streets, the rhythmic patter of raindrops on the windshield filling the comfortable silence. Bello asked her a few questions about her day, and Amina replied politely. Before long, they arrived at her destination. As she stepped out of the car, Bello leaned forward slightly. "Can I have your number? Just in case we run into each other again." Amina hesitated briefly but decided to give it to him. He smiled again, thanking her as she closed the door. The car drove off, leaving Amina standing in front of her workplace. Amina lived with her family, which included her parents and her younger brother Daniel. They were a close and loving household. Her parents owned a small store on the street where they sold daily food essentials like yams and tomatoes. Her mother often traveled to the village market to buy fresh produce to keep the store running, while her father managed the sales. Daniel worked as a mechanic under a master in a nearby workshop. That evening, Amina sat outside her small house, enjoying the cool breeze that followed the rain. The air was refreshing and she had her earphones on, listening to soul-soothing music. The moon shone brightly, casting a silver glow over the neighborhood. Her mother stepped out of the house, her voice cutting through the night. "Amina, it's already late. Come inside. You need to prepare for tomorrow." "Mama, I'll come in soon," Amina replied lazily, reluctant to leave the serene moment. Meanwhile, Bello was a successful businessman who owned a thriving furniture store in the city. He was the only child of his mother, a widow who had lost her husband in a tragic car accident. His mother, who was deeply attached to him, often visited his house on weekends. She would cook large quantities of food, assorted meats, fish and soups, and store them in his fridge to ensure he ate well. Despite her love for her son, she had her own plans for his future, and those plans didn't include leaving his marriage decisions entirely to him. Bello often spent evenings hanging out with his two friends, Nonso and Bayo, who lived in the same estate. Nonso was married to Adaku, a woman he often described as wasteful with money. She doesn't even see it as a problem, Nonso would complain. Every day, she's shopping for things we don't need. Bayo, on the other hand, frequently lamented about his wife, Lola. She had let herself go. He would say, it's like everything about her is tied to taking care of the kids. She doesn't even try to look good anymore. While Nonso and Bayo vented their frustrations, Bello would chuckle. You two are making me scared of marriage. As for me, I enjoy my peace and quiet. His friends would tease him, saying, go get married, Bello. Come join the club of married men. Bello would chuckle and shake his head, responding with a light-hearted laugh. You guys are too much. One evening, as Amina sat outside listening to music, her phone buzzed, interrupting the serene moment. The message read, Hey, it's Bello. How are you doing? She smiled softly and replied, I am fine, thank you. Bello quickly responded, asking, Are you free to talk? Amina, who was deeply immersed in her cool, soulful music, hesitated for a moment. She wasn't one to enjoy interruptions, but after a brief pause, she typed back, Yes, I'm free. Moments later, her phone rang. She picked up, and their conversation flowed easily as they shared bits and pieces of their personal lives. Amina was beginning to enjoy their exchange when her mother's voice rang out from the doorway. Amina, what is the time now? Must I always remind you to go inside? It's very late already. She hurriedly placed Bello on hold. Bello patiently waiting on the other side. Mama, you worry too much. I am not a child anymore. I'll go in soon. She called back. Her mother, unimpressed by her response, fired back. Come on, get up from there and go inside this minute. The seriousness in her mother's tone made it clear that Amina had no choice. She ended the call and didn't call him back. The next day, work kept Amina busy. She worked as a receptionist in a small office where she earned enough to support herself and contribute to her family. Unknown to her, Bello arrived at Amina's workplace at exactly 3 p.m. He parked his car outside and waited patiently. The gentle rhythm of cool songs playing softly in the background. As he sat there, a hint of disappointment lingered. Amina hadn't called him back after their interrupted conversation the previous night. When Amina finally emerged from the building, she was surprised to see Bello stepping out of his car. Hey, Amina, he greeted warmly. How was work today? Caught off guard, Amina blinked in surprise. Bello, what are you doing here? I wasn't expecting to see you. Bello smiled knowingly. Is that all you have to say to me? You left me hanging last night, remember? Amina chuckled sheepishly, her expression softening. Oh, Bello, I am so sorry. I should have at least called you today. It's just been such a hectic day at work. Bello waved off her apology. It's fine, but since you've had such a busy day, why don't you let me take you out for lunch? You must be starving. Amina hesitated. That's really kind of you, but I was just about to head home. Bello grinned, determined. Nope, you owe me for last night. Consider this your way of making it up to me. Laughing, Amina relented. So this is your guilt trip, huh? Fine, if you insist, I'll join you. Bello drove them to a cozy restaurant where he ordered a delicious meal for her. As they ate, their conversation flowed effortlessly. They shared stories, laughed, and found themselves getting along so well that time seemed to fly by. After their meal, Bello thoughtfully ordered more food, neatly packed in takeaway boxes for Amina to take home to her family. Amina was touched by his kindness. "Thank you so much, Bello. This means a lot." Bello shrugged with a smile. "It's nothing, really. I'm glad you enjoyed the meal." He then dropped her off at her house, and as Amina walked inside, she carried not just the food but a warm feeling in her heart. Her mother, observing the car from the window, waited patiently for Amina to step inside. As soon as she did, her mother raised an eyebrow and asked curiously, "Amina, who was that who just dropped you off? And look at all this food." Amina smiled at her mother as she handed her a takeaway pack. "Mama, come and have a taste of this," she said warmly. As her mother opened the container, the rich aroma of the food wafted through the air. Amina asked casually, "Is Daniel back from work?" Daniel, who had been inside the room, caught the enticing scent and dashed out with excitement. "What smells so good?" he exclaimed, his eyes lighting up as he spotted the food. Amina's mother, however, was more curious about something else. "Who is that man that dropped you off? And he didn't even come in to greet me," she asked pointedly, her sharp eyes fixed on her daughter. Amina, trying to deflect her mother's prying questions, laughed lightly. "Mama, please eat. Just enjoy the food. I'll tell you all about it later." Her mother, though still intrigued, decided to let it go for the moment. "Okay, oh," she said, nodding as she took a bite. "I am waiting to hear everything when you are ready." After they had shared the meal together and Amina had freshened up, she joined her mother outside the house. The day had given way to night, and the moon hung brightly in the sky, casting its gentle light over the peaceful neighborhood. A cool breeze carried the scent of wet earth from the earlier rain, making the atmosphere serene. Seated on a wooden bench, Amina began narrating how she had met Bello. Her mother listened attentively, her expression shifting between curiosity and satisfaction as the story unfolded. When Amina finished, her mother sighed deeply, then smiled. "I am happy that someone has shown interest in you, my daughter. But don't let his wealth or status blind you. Look beyond that. Pay attention to his character, his values, and how he treats you. Those are what matters most." Amina nodded thoughtfully, appreciating her mother's wisdom. "Thank you, Mama. I'll keep that in mind." Meanwhile, Bello was unable to go a day without checking up on Amina. His calls and messages became a constant part of her day, and their relationship deepened steadily. Over time, they both realized they had fallen in love. Excited about their blossoming relationship, Bello decided to tell his mother about Amina. To his surprise, his mother responded with a frown. "Amina? Bello, I already have someone in mind for you. She's the daughter of a close friend and I know their family well. I wouldn't want someone I don't know to become my daughter-in-law." Bello stared at his mother in disbelief. "Mama, please, I beg you. This time, you won't make this decision for me. I will choose my own wife," he said firmly. His mother, unfazed by his outburst, gave him a knowing look. "We'll see," she said simply. One weekend, as usual, Bello's mother visited to prepare meals for him. But this time, she brought along Aishatu, her friend's daughter. Aishatu was a petite and graceful young woman, dressed modestly but elegantly. She appeared a little uncomfortable as Bello's mother ushered her into the living room, instructing her to make herself at home. "This will be your home soon," she added confidently. When Bello returned home that evening and saw Aishatu, he was immediately confused. He excused himself and his mother to the kitchen, demanding an explanation. "Mama, who is that? And why is she here?" His mother smiled slyly. "She's your wife-to-be." "What?" Bello's voice rose in disbelief. "Mama, you've started again. I've told you, I'm not going along with this." He stormed out of the kitchen, grabbing his car keys and headed for the door. "By the time I come back, I want her out of this house," he shouted before slamming the door behind him. Aishatu, sitting awkwardly in the living room, had seen the whole scene unfold. She felt even more uncomfortable and unsure of her place. Bello's mother returned to her and patted her hand reassuringly. "Don't worry, my dear. I know my son. He's just acting tough. You are a beautiful girl and he will come around eventually. Trust me." Although Aishatu smiled shyly and nodded, she couldn't shake the unease she felt. At Bello's mother's urging, she left that day but remained hopeful, holding on to the older woman's promises. Meanwhile, Bello was at a nearby bar, nursing a bottle of beer. He sat alone in a corner, his mind clouded with anger and disappointment. He couldn't understand why his mother kept trying to control his life. As he sipped his drink, his thoughts drifted to Amina, her laughter, her kindness, and the way she made him feel at ease. He missed her and wished he could share his frustrations with her. When Bello returned home that night, he walked straight to his room, ignoring his mother, who was seated on the couch. She was taken aback by his behavior. The scent of alcohol lingered around him, and his anger was palpable. Concerned, she sat in silence for a while, pondering. "I don't know why this boy is being so stubborn about this," she murmured to herself. The next morning, Bello didn't come out of his room. His mother, worried, knocked on his door to call him for breakfast, but he didn't respond. After waiting a while, she let herself in. "Bello," she said, sitting by his bed, "is this how you are going to act because I refused the Amina girl? Is this why you are sulking like a child and ignoring the woman who gave birth to you?" She sighed deeply and continued, "Well, I can see this is serious and important to you. If marrying her will make you happy, then go ahead." But she hesitated, her heart heavy with unspoken consents. Bello looked up at his mother, his voice soft but firm. "Mama, you will love her, I promise. Amina is a good person." His mother nodded slowly, masking her true feelings behind a neutral expression. Months later, Bello and Amina got married. Their love for each other was evident and they built a happy life together. Whenever Bello's mother visited, her cold attitude towards Amina was clear. She was polite but distant, and Amina, though hot, remained kind and respectful. Not long after, Amina became pregnant. The pregnancy was difficult. She was often sick and her body struggled to adjust. Bello was a pillar of support, cooking her favorite meals and doing his best to keep her spirits high. In the 9th month, during a routine hospital visit, the doctor advised for a cesarean section due to complications and the baby's improper positioning. Terrified but trusting in God, Bello and Amina agreed. The surgery was successful and Amina gave birth to a healthy baby girl. Their joy was immense and Amina's mother came to help care for her daughter and grandchild. 2 years later, Amina became pregnant again. This pregnancy mirrored the first, constant illness, and eventually Amina was bedridden. Once again, she underwent a cesarean section. By God's grace, both mother and baby were healthy. She gave birth to a baby boy. As before, Amina's mother came to lend her support. A year after the second birth, Amina's body bore the changes of motherhood. She gained weight, and Bello, once the loving and caring husband, began to change. He complained about her appearance, snapping over small issues. One morning, as Amina asked him for money to buy food, Bello, who was preparing to leave for his store, lashed out. "Look at you, so out of shape. Your stomach is huge. Are you the only woman who's ever given birth? You look like a fat elephant." His cruel words hit her like a dagger. Tears welled in Amina's eyes as she looked at him. "Bello," she said softly, her voice trembling. "You keep humiliating me for my body. My body is not the way it used to be. But this is who I am now. I bore your children, and this is the price I paid. Bello sighed heavily, frustration etched into his face. Without another word, he walked out, leaving Amina clutching her children, tears streaming down her cheeks. She felt broken, the weight of her emotions suffocating her. What had changed? What had happened to the Bello she once knew? Amina's heart ached as she is faced with the harsh reality of her marriage. This brings us to the end of this part of the story. What do you think will happen to Bello and Amina's marriage? Is this just one of the many challenges marriages face, or will their bond withstand this test? Stay tuned for part 2 to find out. Thank you for watching this episode of African Folktale series with Ogeni. Please don't forget to support me besties by subscribing to this channel. Also give this video a thumbs up, leave your thoughts in the comments and share to your loved ones. And also turn on your notification bell so that whenever I post a new story, you will be the first to know. You can also watch the other stories displayed on the screen. Today's shout out will be going to Cynthia Akunwane, watching from Benin, and Vera Onoha, watching from Makodi. Thank you for indicating where you are watching us from. And to my other viewers, I am grateful and I do not take your support for granted. Thank you so much for always tuning in. Yes, besties, you can indicate where you're watching us from in the comment section so that I can send you a hug and give you a shout out in our next episode. Thank you once again for staying tuned. I will see you on my next one.